How's it going, everybody? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And today I've got the honor of talking to one of my favorite creators of all time, and that is Mr. Peter Tomasi. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Omar. How you doing, buddy?
Doing okay. Doing okay. It is Tuesday after Labor Day and trying to catch up and stay busy. And yeah, it's I just want to thank you, man, for your time. I know you're a busy guy. You're writing so many things and you've got so many deadlines. And as a matter of fact, your two books are coming out this very month. Starting off with Hornsby and Halo. Of course, if you're getting single issues, more power to you people. That's wonderful. Couldn't be doing this without you all to begin with.
Absolutely.
But if you're a trade waiter, a collected editions person, well, this one drops, I think, this week, 9/3.
Tomorrow, yep.
Yeah, and then next week is the Rockefellers coming out on the 10th. So both of these collecting the first 6 issues of these new series that, I'll be honest, this is the first time I've gotten to read them, man. And I was really excited because, as you know, I'm a trade waiter. I'm a monster. I'm not a Wednesday warrior. My wife is, though. So good for her. So tell me a little bit about what you've been up to, Peter. You've been busy, man.
Yeah, just, starting that company with all my buddies, Geoff and Francis and Brian. I can go on, and Peter Snaberg, and just, all these great talented people, Maytal, and just a big bunch of people who really know how to put together a comic book. And just so proud of the production value of the books, the look of the books, the creative freedom of the books. And yeah, it's been a blast. We've had so much fun doing it, and it's kind of crazy how long it's already been going since we announced it back in New York. Going to be 3 years, I think, coming up in October, which is insane.
3 years. Yeah, you all have some deluxe editions under your belt. You've got trade paperbacks, you've got single issues, and the lines, these particular series, they just keep expanding. You've worn a couple of hats in the industry.
Yeah, I would say, two major hats. The one was a whole bunch. When I was working my way up at DC, which started out as an assistant editor, and then eventually a group editor of the Batman books. So that was, I guess, 15 or 16 years there at DC, a real long time. And got to see a lot of great things. Was still in the office when the Immortals were still actually in the office, like Danny O'Neill, Archie Goodwin. Julie Schwartz was still in the office 2 or 3 days a week. And, being in New York at that time, it was great because prior to 2000, to 9/11, the doors were always open at both companies. And, it was a great thing where you'd get all these great freelancers, these great talented folks walking in the door, going to lunch with, Joe Kubert, or, just so many great people. And, yeah, it obviously got clamped down a lot, and it got a little tough for a lot of people. Obviously, those guys, could still get in, but it kind of tampered down people's desires to come into the city at that point. And but it was great. It was a great time to be in the mix at DC, in the editorial point of view. So had a lot of fun bringing a lot of books out, and then just ending on the Batman note, and then Dan DiDio was like, hey, could you use you on the other side of the desk, and you're interested? And I said, yeah, I think so. And he was like, here. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll make more money. I'll do it. And it was great. So it was a lot of fun, because then I had all the relationships that I did with all the editors. So it was real seamless way to just try to start writing books and get into the mix right away.
Is that how you and Geoff met? Where you were an editor at the time and he was writing the books, right?
Yeah. He was in for a movie. He was actually shooting Conspiracy Theory, the Dick Donner film.
Yeah.
In the city, and he was, a big comic fan. Geoff somehow found a way, of course, to get into the DC offices and get an invitation to come on in. And so he did, and we all met that way. And then I think he had just started on Stargirl, but we just started talking about a bunch of things. So next thing I know, he was doing he came in for James Robinson on I may get my dates screwed up. I'm trying to remember. Was it Hawkman or no? It may have been Hawkman or JSA. I can't remember which. But anyway, he started working on those, JSA and Hawkman eventually. And and then we started talking Green Lantern. And then, of course, that turned into based on my editorial time and then my writing time on the Green Lantern stuff with Geoff, it was, that was 10 years straight of GL stuff. And really proud of that run. I still think it's, if you were a GL fan at that time, just picking those books up on a monthly basis, I think you were definitely getting your money's worth.
Man, you guys, there was so much energy in those books. I love that. I from a fan's perspective, even the gimmicky marketing things like the rings of the Blackest Night. Like, I was in my 30s when that was coming out, and I was rolling my eyes like, this is so stupid. Yo, where can I get the red ring? That's the only one I'm missing.
Oh yeah, trust me. When we had those rings at the cons, it was like, everybody's salivating. Oh, please let me have those rings.
It was such a great marketing gimmick, man. I loved it, and every one of those books was so good. And I have ran into you at so many conventions and talked to you on interviews. My very first interview with you, oh my gosh, man, it must have been 9 or 8 years ago. And it was funny because I would bring up the Green Lantern Corps Omnibus, and you were like, "Yeah, man, it's coming. The Green Lantern Corps Omnibus is coming." It finally did. Just a few years ago.
Yeah. No, really happy. I was really happy those finally came out. So, and to see Pat Gleason's artwork in those, and Fernando Passarin's, and a couple other guys who had come in here and there. Because honestly, when I got those omnibuses and I flipped through it, I still couldn't believe it. I mean, it's just, they're exciting to look at even now. And I mean, I knew the books. I almost was like, oh wow, I can't wait to read these. Because I literally hadn't read them since I approved production copies. Otherwise, I hadn't read them in a gazillion years. So,
of your own books.
Yeah. So when the omnibuses come in, it's like, I think, you hear those actors who say they don't want to go see their own movies and things like that. It's very tough for me after I've finished an issue and I've seen the final edition before it's printed to go back and read it, unless it's for some kind of research purposes. I'm not going to go back and look at my stuff. So it's because then, as when you're a knucklehead perfectionist like I am, I'll zero in on, I could have done this or I could have done that. So yeah. I beat myself up, and I beat myself up enough to keep adding on. So
could always blame your editor at the time for all the mistakes. That's all. It was all the editor. It was all the editor. Man, I just I love getting questions of what's if I could only get one omnibus of Superman or the Batman. And my answer for Superman has, for the last few years, man, actually been yours and Patrick Gleason's run, because of, it's a different character. It was the character I grew up with, and he had evolved to become a father, and it was so well done, and it brought a lot of heart and a lot just everything. And I could tell you were a different writer at that time. I'm not sure if that was, having kids changed you, but it was more.
Yeah, absolutely. Having kids changes you, that's for sure. And our key was to make Soups and the whole book just more relatable, and I think we really achieved it. And with Pat, we really crafted some great stories, and he kicked ass on the art. And we also had Doug Monkey doing some great issues in there too. He was basically our go-to guy on that. And even a few issues with Jorge Jimenez. Did a great Swamp Thing issue, and a couple other issues, and then obviously we segued into Super Sons and stuff. But yeah, Superman was a lot of fun, and it was a bummer. It was a bummer when they blew it up. I thought it was a big mistake from DC. I had said it at the time, and but anyway, it's water under the bridge. So what can you do?
Water under the bridge. You can still get copies, man, of your Omnis, dude. I'll be honest, I know you're a big fan of collected editions, because we've talked about this before.
Well, yeah.
But it's gotta be so cool to have like your name on so many books, like the spines of these books.
Yeah, I
Like
think it's like 7 or 8 omnis.
you've taken a picture of it and shared it on.
Yeah, that's right, and yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. I don't think I have as many as Geoff. But,
Yeah,
I think
he
Geoff has
was.
50 omnis.
He's got quite a bit of a backlog of like this
Yeah,
library he's
hell
built.
of a backlist, hell of a backlist. But yeah, no, it's great. And look, I always kept pushing, like even Detective Omni, it was, sometimes, those guys at DC, they're working, I don't sometimes, at least when those come out, they didn't know they had a lot of stuff. And I'm like, hey guys, I basically wrote 50 issues of
Yeah.
Detective in a
I'm
row.
Dude,
And
I'm so glad you did.
they're like, oh yeah, all right, okay. That we can do an omnibus.
Yeah, I think they've gotten so much better in the collected editions at DC,
Yeah.
like keeping tabs, like keeping a master spreadsheet of everything
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
could be collected into a book.
Yeah, and they do great jobs. I mean, the Detective comics and the Batman and Robin omnis. I mean, all of the GLs, they're really beautifully put together books. I mean, because those price points are high, and I understand that. But I think people are getting. I mean, what are the page counts? Thousands,
Dude, it's
1,000
insane.
pages, and
And now we're getting. I don't know if you know this or not, and I don't think you're quite the target audience for this, but they're doing compendiums
yeah,
of the Green Lantern era, and it's Green Lantern like intertwining the stories together of Green Lantern Corps, and
right.
everything, all the Ion miniseries, like all these little things that the Omnis didn't have. And it's gonna be, I mean, I don't know how many volumes it's gonna be. I can assume it's gonna be a lot more volumes than
Yeah.
7. Like it's a lot. But one of those, the Sinestro Corps War compendium, I think it's like 1,600 pages for a compendium. I made a joke about how that better come with a cracked spine, like a pre-cracked spine already, because those
and a little mini bridge to walk across to get to the.
that's a big book, man.
Yeah.
Do you ever think you're gonna get that many pages at Ghost Machine with your series?
Oh yeah, look, that's our goals. We all want to, we stated it when we first started the company. We want to, we're not looking at a finite date for these books right now that we're writing. I mean, we're hoping, we can go. I mean, who wouldn't love to go, pull a FF, go to 100 and whatever,
Yeah.
me and Francis doing 100 issues straight, or me and Peter Snaberg on 100 issues on Hornsby and Halo. It'd be great. I mean, and that's, as a writer, look, that's one of the main things I think today is missing from comics, which is teams on books for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not getting, they're not getting like, me and Pat on Green Lantern Corps for 47 issues, where I think out of 47 issues, I think maybe he missed 2 or 3. Batman and Robin, maybe he missed 3 or 4 out of 50. You're just not getting that anymore. Those, it's like, he did 3 issues in a row of Spider-Man, because Spidey's schedule and the way they just keep cracking in different teams over and over at Marvel. So it's, and at DC too, you're not going to see those kind of long runs anymore with guys. And that's the kind of stuff, at least when I was growing up, it was nice to have, because somebody can really dive into the books and pull back the layers and, pull back the onion, so to speak, to give you as much as, digging deep, like with the Jerry Conway stuff and, back in Spidey, or, Jam DeMatteis on his stuff. Just, great runs, where they had time to explore the characters and the supporting characters.
I think you hit the nail on the head on something that I've been missing from comic books. And it feels like nowadays, man, you're lucky to have somebody on a book for like a year. Like, you start off a title.
I think you're lucky to have one guy do 3 issues in a row these days.
Okay.
Forget a year.
Okay, same creative team, unless you're Dan Mora or somebody like that can draw everything.
Right. Yeah, that guy's unbelievable.
How? And good.
And good. What a talent. Yeah, he's so good.
But you're absolutely right, though. It's very difficult. There was this huge comparison that I see all the time with American comics and versus manga, and why people like mangas so much, and why they're drawn to manga, because they know that the creator is going to say this is over when I say it's over.
Right.
Unless you're, well, even Japanese creators have to answer to their editors, like Akira Toriyama, like famously wanted to end Dragon Ball Z, and then the editor was like, "No, it's selling too good.
We're drowning in money. I think we'll be keeping it going."
He's like, "Who's stronger than Frieza?"
Yeah.
Like, what am I gonna do? And they just kept going and coming up with stuff. But even they have to abide by the editors.
Yeah. I mean,
so
look at it. You know, if there's, you know, you can't, even as a writer and an artist, it's obviously it's tough to do extended things. I mean, I think at a certain point everybody runs out of steam, and I think, you know, there are natural points of some stories where you will hit and you'll be like, you know what, perfect ending, let's wrap it up. I mean, like, even for us on GL, and when Geoff and I were doing GL, I remember we're on the phone one day and we were thinking about the next arc after War of the Green Lanterns, and we were like, the first Wrath of the First Lantern.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, so what are we doing? And then we're like, you know, this sure seems like a great place to stop the train. We're like, we're right here, we're right up here. You know, why? Let's end on a high note, the old Seinfeld thing, or just let's end where we're really at our best game, and call it a day. And then we both were like, yeah, let's do it, let's call it. And so it was, you know, I think it's important to, you know, to know when to stop a story, or either pass a baton, obviously in a corporate environment, or before the corporate hammer comes down on you. But at Ghost Machine, at least, you know, we know these, you know, we created these characters, and, you know, we'll know when we've, you know, hit that spot. But it's, I mean, in our minds, I know a lot of us all talking to each other, we all feel that's, you know, way down the road. So
tell me a little bit about you've done creator-owned stories before.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
This is different. This is your own company. This is your own rules. Like, can you tell us a little behind the scenes of what it's like a day in the life of Peter Tomasi when you're not reading a newspaper? I love seeing you in cons and reading newspapers. It's so classy, man. But also just what it's like to write, like, and work with this team, because you are working with somebody on creating these wonderful books right here.
Yeah, no, we're all true collaborators.
It feels like so. Yes, I haven't gotten the chance to read Rockefellers. I just got it in, but this really does feel like all of you are telling the story, from the colors and the script. Like, every single person plays an important part in this. So I wonder how close do you work with everybody, as opposed to like when you were at DC or even your other creator-owned stuff?
I mean, I got to say, I've always been I remember once I started writing freelance at home, you know, when you're used to an office environment, and especially a creative environment like, you know, it was at DC, or editing wise, it was, you know, you were talking to people, you know, creative people all day. And of course, then there was the business machinations and the production machinations and all that stuff. But, you know, you were always in the mix with people, and then suddenly you're isolated. Then suddenly you're sitting at home by yourself with a laptop, you know, 10 hours a day. And as all writers know, you know, it's easy to procrastinate, and you suddenly have the cleanest house in the world. And, you know, you get out, you know, oh yeah, I'll do the shopping, I'll do the wash, I'll do this, I'll do that. Anything to get your butt off the chair, to just, you know, because writing also, you're also writing when you're not writing, you know, you're in wherever you're going.
Yeah,
you're always,
you told me that before.
Yeah, you're in your head. You're in your head a lot. So the great thing about this too is, you know, I've always been one, and I'm not going to name any names, but like, there's a lot of people out there who I never understand the lack of communication with emails and stuff. You can't get any easier in the 21st century to be somebody who can communicate with their talent and say, I got it, yay or nay, don't like this, don't like that. This is when you're getting your script, or this or that. And, you know, the fact that I hear from other talent too, that it takes them weeks to get responses. And it's kind of just odd to me, where even when I was an editor, I actually picked up the phone all the time. I like calling guys and saying, I got your work, thanks for the pages, spend 2 minutes with them talking. And if it got longer, it got longer, but whatever. But, you know, that human touch is gone, and most people, you're isolated. So, back again with Ghost Machine on this, it's great to be on the phone with Francis, or go up to Toronto and spend 4 days with Francis, and watch him work his magic on his tablet, and we're talking and he's drawing as we're talking, and bringing stuff to life, or talking with Peter Snaberg, and just hitting him up with what we're doing, what I want to do, and then him coming up with a cool bid or this or that, and just we're on Zoom calls, just all the time with guys. It's great to just keep that live interaction going, because it's just too, it sounds like I'm a dinosaur, but I think, as we move down the road here, with AI and everything else, it's going to be harder to have human interaction. And I think that's something that people are going to miss, or already are missing, after COVID and everything else. People's DNA has changed a little bit. So I think it's important in the creative aspects of stuff to just keep those lines open. And especially if you're friends and you can talk to each other and riff off of each other, there's nothing better, and like even talking to Brian Cunningham, who's our editor,
Yeah.
or Danny about stuff, and then we have we have a group chat, and we're everybody's always talking about just stuff that's going on in their lives, and sending pics and this and that. And I was like in Greece, and I'm like sending my shots from Greece to everybody, and so then they're sending shots where they are, and it's great. I mean, it's a real I wouldn't even say a community. It's like a real it's like a family of creators who are just all on the same page, and all really completely, being honest, really like each other. So it's a lot of fun. I feel very, very lucky to have found that in that avenue of my career at this point.
I think you're absolutely right when it comes to making it seem like it's a big family, and that's the way I've always seen you all interact. Like, especially when you're like Brian Hitch, or people that fly overseas to come, be together at a convention. You guys act, I'm sorry, not act, but you seem like you're genuinely excited to see each other. Like, oh, we work together, but now we get to hang out for the next couple of days, right? And it's a good experience. You get to talk to the fans and stuff. And
I miss like not seeing those guys. We did a few shows a couple times in a few months, and it was good to see Brian and Gary and all those guys, and Ivan, who you just see on the group chats, and then. But to have dinner and drinks and stuff,
yeah,
it's really great.
I love the fact that you flew to Toronto to see Francis. That's great.
Yeah,
because I think there is a difference in like working together and then working together through email.
Yeah,
and I gotta ask this question. I don't think I know the answer. So the very first book, was it Hornsby and Halo that you did for Ghost Machine? Was that the very first issue that dropped? Or was it Rockefellers? And
I think Rockefellers came out first, and then 2 weeks later, I believe.
Yeah, they were very close.
Yeah, they were in the same month. They were in November, or was it December? Yeah, it must have been November, right? You know what? It was. We were bummed out because New York was in October, and then we were like, man, I wish we had come out in October so we could at least, have people at the tables with the books. But yeah, so it was the next month, November of 24.
Okay. When did you start working? How was it decided, that Snaber, okay, so you have Hornsby and Halo, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did you and Peter get connected?
Well, I've known Pete since, obviously, as we spoke earlier about Starman, when I was an editor.
Yeah. Okay.
Worked with Pete on Starman.
Oh, I love his stuff on Starman. So, okay, you knew him, and then you thought, I've got a good idea for a story.
Yeah. And Peter would be great.
Peter's a great artist.
Yeah.
I'm going to reach out. So you reached out to him?
Yes.
The pitch. Okay. That's what I was wondering, how this project.
Yeah, I've tried to work with Pete a few times, even on some of my creator runs, because the first time we worked together creator owned was Light Brigade, way back. Really great looking book. If anybody has never seen it, you should pick it up. It's World War II Angels and Demons, just off the wall insanity.
You guys got a knack for the angels and demons. We can talk. We can talk a little bit about this book too.
Yeah. So he was great. So he did Starman. Then
Mhm.
after that, and then he did JSA, a few issues of JSA for me, and yeah. But we were always throwing stuff at each other, and his schedule just never aligned for a bunch of projects that I ended up doing creator owned, and eventually this one did, and so it was like yes, and it was great. And he's a consummate pro too. Boy, his pages come in, like clockwork, and and John Kalis is doing a great. Excuse me, John Kalis is doing a great job on colors, but man, Pete's stuff in black and white too is just phenomenal.
I could tell on Starman just how great his contrast is.
Yeah.
So for anybody that doesn't know what this is, you mentioned Angels and Demons, and I really like this book, and it has to do with the two main characters. How did you pitch this book to him? What did you? How did you pitch it to somebody?
I think really the Pete was the same. It was just two kids, an angel and a demon born, from different obviously places in existence, and they're part of a big cosmic deal, and they've got to learn what the other feels, what it's like for an angel to feel like a demon, and a demon to feel like what an angel feels like, and understand each other, so that moving forward to stop the endless war and strife that the two what's the best way to put it, the two cosmos, or the two, I'm trying to think, heaven and hell basically, but how do they stop that forever war, and just by trying to get them to be a bit more empathetic, I guess is the best way to put it, and send them into an adopted family of their exact opposites and of an upbringing, and see how nature nurture plays out with each of them, and so hopefully they grow up and have a better understanding of what each of them is going through.
You've got a really good understanding of how to write kids. Has anybody told you that before?
Yeah, a lot of times. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. My wife, who's a teacher, loves comics too, and one of her biggest pet peeves is when a writer can't get that voice down for a kid. Yeah. Kids are so different, right? We have the stereotypical way kids sound in our old heads, and then the way the kids really sound and act and would say. And I remember when she was reading Super Sons, she told me that. She was like, he's really good at writing kids. I was like, I know. Thanks. And this is another testament of how well you write kids and understand them. Not a lot of writers can pull that off, man.
You got to be open to yourself, really. You got to kind of remember what it's like, to dive back all those eons and remember what it's like to be a kid. And also, if you have kids, you just are open to what their experiences are, and just keeping your ear open to see how they speak to each other, how they interact with each other. Because when it comes down to it, obviously all kids interact with each other on a certain level, the same as we all have through time. But then, of course, the culture changes things as you go. Obviously, phones. For one thing. But,
oh my gosh, or the language.
But so it's a completely different beast. But I've said before, like there's like the one I like to use one example which speaks volumes, which is there's a scene like in Batman and Robin that I use at conventions a lot. And my son was one day, we were going out into the snow, and I was putting my boots on. I had one boot on, and he was sitting next to me putting his boots on. And he picked up my boot and then put it against his, and saw the discrepancy in size. And I just was looking at that, and as all good writers know, you're always stealing life. So I filed that away. And so when I had Damien in the cave one day with Bruce, and they're getting ready to go out, I had Damien hold up his boot to Bruce's boot, and just compare the boot sizes, and just like, and people always, were like, oh yeah, I love that scene, so it's little stuff like that, it's the God is in the details line, which is, all of that stuff really informs your characters, you can have them, just vomit out exposition to say who and what they are, but it's, character is action, and it's what they do and how they interact and, react to things. It's always the best way to clearly delineate a character instead of just yapping away about it.
And of course, you have to throw in the supernatural element in this, right? It's not just kids; they just happen to be kids, but also finding out about themselves and that they are a demon and an angel.
Yeah,
I complimented you on writing kids really well, but you're really good at writing family as well. I don't know how you never wrote the Fantastic Four, Fast and the Furious, dude. How did that not happen?
I would have loved FF. I loved FF when I was a kid too. It was a great characters, But I just, I mean, look, all those years the only thing I've ever done for Marvel, which is funny, was just I did an Old Man Logan Wolverine. What was it? The Wastelanders on Sirius? I think, was it on Sirius?
Yeah.
I wrote the script for that. That was it, huh? That was it. Yeah. I mean, a few times when I was an editor, Marvel had sort of tested my waters to see if I would like to come over to Marvel, but just never ended up pulling the trigger on that. So,
man, what could have been? But then we would have missed out on Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah, a lot of, obviously, the
Superman. That would have been that would have been a bad idea.
Yeah.
But then we would have gotten one of the greatest Fantastic Four runs.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about Rockefellers. Was it the same thing? You and Francis Manapul, or the
we were on the phone.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Francis said, he'd already agreed to be part of it. And then we were just trying to think on what we'd want to do. And there was a line, I think it was from Geoff. He was like, "Oh man, I always like to see just like a family at a time." And that was it. So Francis started pushing that around. And so we started to talk about, what to do. And so, and then came up with the whole witness protection program scenario, and so there's some real drama to the story, along with levity and humanistic stuff. So and the thing about the Family Odyssey books, as we've tried to point out, it's not like these are like Scooby-Doo books, and nothing, not that there's anything wrong with those books. It's not like they're not directed towards incredibly young readers. It's really for the way we're approaching these books, the Family Odyssey books. It's for 10 years old to 100 years old. It's like anybody can pick this up and enjoy it and not feel embarrassed, not feel like they're not getting top-notch quality, top-notch storytelling. It's got humor, it's got action, it's got drama, it's got some heavy intensity, as you'll see on the first issue when you read Rockefellers. Just like, and it's funny too, because people will be like, oh, this and that, and you watch any Pixar movie or Disney movie, the early, the classic stuff, and even other live action animated stuff. There's death, right? There's death most of the time. And it's the way you showed, we're not being gratuitous. We're not, intestines aren't spiraling out of, out of things, and we're not, throwing violence in anybody's face. But there is, violence of character, violence of emotions, that gets seen. So it's it's the kind of book we want people to know, or that it's just, we both kind of, or we're all kind of looking at it as, both books, they're very like PG-13, they're not G-rated books, so
yeah.
And it's
I don't, I mean, just from the concept itself, I don't think it would work as a kid's book. I don't think I'd have a problem with my teenager reading these.
No, not at all. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I
think that's what the target audience would be. I would have loved to have seen this kind of stuff at 12 years old. Now,
look, it's key. I mean, it's, comics, as we look, you love them, I love them, all the people who are out there who love them. You don't get any younger audience into this stuff this stuff is gone, man. Eventually.
That's the thing
and,
that I always try to push. It's not
and
really about the old guy
yeah, you can't
collecting this stuff.
can't
There's
keep
going to be a
writing
certain
stuff.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to write for a wide spec. You got to, as the movies stuff, the 4 quadrant films. You know, the ones that hit, you know, male, female, family. You know, and then that
Mhm.
age range from like 15 to 60. You know, like you've got to hit all of these with some stories, and you've got to bring everybody under the tent. And you know, I think that's what the Family Odyssey books, and I think honestly that's what all the Ghost Machine books do, because they've all obviously they're in their lower numbers, of course, but you know, each book is really, you know, has got the intro page. We've got who's who. I mean, it's a great package, as you've seen. I mean, they're jam packed for the 395, and you know, they're the books I think are very inviting, and so I think they're great things for people to jump on board, be it floppies or the trades. And you know, and of course, you know, our main wish too is to, you know, people who haven't checked out the floppies will get hooked. Yeah, we'll read the trades and say, hey, I want to see these adventures every month.
Well, I'm hoping to finish or read this one today and film a video on these to kind of show people what these books are like, because I've filmed like deluxe editions and Rook. I do need to say something though, because as I was looking to make sure we had the right dates, Amazon has different dates, but they also have Hornsby and Halo wrong, which happens all the time with DC. By
I think
the way,
it says 1 to 5, right?
it does say 1 to 5. This is 1 through 6.
1 through 6.
Remember that when you're purchasing this book.
You're getting more bang for the buck, people.
Yeah, the retail price is right, $14.99, but it's actually issues 1 through 6. And same as the Rockefellers. This is actually issues 1 through 6. This one I think they've got right, though.
Yeah, and all the issues are, I mean, most of them, you know, they're not 20, they're all like 20. I think there's 32 pages, 30 pages, 26. So there's, you know, even at, you know, we were holding the line at 395, you're still getting a hell of a lot of story content, you know, along with the who's and all that stuff. So yeah, like I said, they're great. They're really nice packages. Really proud of them.
Danny's pushing up her glasses and actualing us. Amazon is the book market release date. It's in comic shops now. Thank you,
Danny.
Thank you, Danny. So the dates that she gave me for September, yeah. So this one, Hornsby and Halo, is on sale tomorrow or today, depending on where you get your comics. And then Rockefellers is out on September 10th.
Yeah, and they're beautiful books. I mean, you know, the artwork on these two are great. And
oh my gosh, these are some of my favorite artists. That's the thing that draws a lot of people to Ghost Machine, is the talent that you all got. Like you know, when you have talent, I remember, I think I told Geoff Johns this last year when I interviewed him. It was like I hate him and I both love him, because he drew all the talent that I love from the big two, that I'm like, oh, I would love to see Francis Manapul do an Avengers story. Not gonna happen. Peter Tomasi, I've thought of you. I'm like, oh my god, he's out of DC, man. We could do X-Men. Not gonna happen. Thanks a lot, Geoff Johns and Peter Tomasi. But you know what I'm saying? It's like all the hot talent, all the energy, everything that we love growing up reading. Like, here's a backlog of stuff of Green Lantern, and if you love this, go and check out Rook. Go and check out Redcoat. Go and check out Rockefellers. Like, it's really great. It's like,
everybody's firing on all cylinders.
You guys are pumped. Like, you have some of the biggest creators in the industry right now. And
Redcoat is amazing. I mean, you look at Hitch doing what he's doing, and Gary and Jason, and I mean, it's just an Ivan on Hyde Street. I mean, when I see those original pages come in, it's like, holy moly. I mean, all these guys are just, it's beyond a game, because everybody's just so passionate about their characters. I mean, it's theirs, and everybody's wants to do, you know, their best. It's like an old thing I talk about a couple times. You know, every issue is could be somebody's first issue, right? That old thing. It's like, yeah, but actually it goes back to Joe DiMaggio, famous Yankees center fielder, which was, somebody always asked him, like, why do you play so hard every day? You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to kill you. And he goes, because there's people in the stands who've never seen me for the first time. You know, they're here for the first time seeing me.
Wow,
so,
I didn't know that.
So that's, you know, I always kind of love that quote. It's always kind of, you know, every time you start to feel like you're getting a bit down, or you're feeling like, oh man, this is good enough. And then I'm thinking like, well, you know what, my name's on this. And like you said earlier, you know, my name's on those spines for all eternity, so to speak. You know, I mean, you know, the people like us who are lucky to be in this business and be able to create stuff that we get immediate attention for. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like movies. You write something like, which I've done, and you know, never gets made. It sits on a shelf, the script, and you never see it. Where you write comics, and we're writing these Ghost Machine books, and you know, 3 months later, someone's at a table and they're crying, they're laughing, they're expressing their joy from what you've made. You know, so there's a sense of an immortality to it, which is dynamite. Which is, you know, you're leaving. You know, I like to know I'm leaving something behind like that. So, you know, it's pretty cool.
Dude, that is beautifully put. Leaving something behind is exactly what you're doing. Like I always say these stories and these characters will outlive all of us, and I think that's the point, right?
Yeah.
That these are legends, and you guys are the legends behind these legends. So, has it got, dude? Has it gotten to the point where Ghost Machine is so hot that you've got creators that are hitting you up, and you don't have to say any names, like, yo, you got any like room for like maybe my idea? I can bring a couple guys with me. Is this happening right now?
Yeah, it's happened a few times, but you know, we really did want to. Some places make mistakes where they get too big too fast, and they blow out their production schedule, and you know, you start missing shipping too much. I mean, we're trying to make sure, you know, we've missed a few ships here and there where we're trying to, but really keep a cap on it, where, you know, we do know when you get those trades, you really want to make sure that when you flip through them, the aesthetics, you know, you look at it and it's a beautiful book from page 1 to page 300. You know, it's you don't want to have anything that just, you know, pulls you out of it, like, you know, how some books can do, where they're suddenly like Joe Blow is doing, you know, fill-ins for this or that. And so you start to have to take a step back sometimes and say, okay, you know, we need to make shipping, and that's a priority. But, you know, life is what happens, you know, whatever that old John Lennon line is, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. Things happen, and, you know, sometimes you get off track a little bit. And but, you know, we're really concerned about making sure these books for the long run look as great as they can. You know, so anybody picking it up for the first time will pull up either a trade and flip through those trades and say, whoa, look at the quality of this stuff. I mean, it's great.
You're right about that. It reminds me, I think one of the biggest lessons that the manga industry, I hope, learned was the big manga implosion that happened in the late 90s, early aughts. Right. It was everywhere, right? And we still see it to this day. People are like, oh, manga's outselling comics. But people forget that they had a long, rough road here in America, including, you know, the like Tokyo Pop, one of the biggest sellers. But what ended up happening was they said, yes, let's buy every freaking license. And they didn't have the manpower to put out anything that could make them money back. And eventually, they stretched themselves too thin, and they were gone. I mean, they burnt out so quick. It's crazy.
Yeah, it happens, and it's not, you know, it's not any kind of nefarious or insidious planning. It's they get excited, they think they can pull all this stuff off, and then suddenly the realization sets in that, you know, you only have so many hours in a day, man, and you can only time is the ultimate arbiter of all this stuff. So that's why we're really trying to make sure we keep a nice control on how many books we're putting out, and for now, and you know, sure, I'd love to, you know, after a nice couple dozens of these books are out, you know, see what else is in the old, you know, book of ideas, and get another book or two out there too. That's, you know, that's what's great about Ghost Machine. We can kind of start to, at any point, start to talk about stuff and say, yeah, you know, maybe now's a good time to do this or do that, and you know, that kind of thing. So there's a nice fluidity to being a part of this, where, you know, there's no corporate overlord who's got, you know, swords around our necks to say, you know, always ready to just start chopping away. So it's nice.
That's a mental image that will not leave my head now, man. Because I think, dude, of course, you know, I think of you and Patrick Gleason, like, or even Doug Mankey, who you all have worked together, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the kind of stories you guys could tell, it would just be crazy. But also, you are one guy too, and you're already writing 2 series, and I'm sure you've got a lot of other ideas, but you don't want to get burned out either.
Yeah, no, especially now. I mean, it's nice to, back in the day when I was a bit younger, it was nice.
Yeah.
I could do 4. I was doing at some point like 4 or 5 books a month. If there was like 3 here, 4 here, and then a special or annuals, and those add up. And you're working, you're cooking, and you're seeing less of your family and less of the inside of your eyeballs. But it's okay then. But now, no, now it's like, I want to enjoy life a little bit more too, and that's afforded us an ability to do two books, or do an annual here and there, or do some extra stuff with Ghost Machine. So it's great.
So I want to make sure we gave the Hornsby and Halo some the justice of like what exactly the pitch was. How would you pitch Rockefellers to somebody that has no idea anything outside of superhero comics? That's all they know. They know you from your work on Green Lantern. They know you from your work on Superman. How would you pitch Rockefellers to someone like that?
What does it say in the back of it?
I don't have my readers on, Peter. How dare you?
That's okay. But yeah, no, I mean, look, it's
wanted, dead or alive. I can read that.
No more driving for you.
I can drive. I just don't have my readers. Okay. Well, let me see.
No, I'm joking with you. I was joking.
Okay.
With you. Look, it's a family.
That's how I used to do my book reports back in the day, man.
It's a family from the future who escape into the past. They're being hunted down, and they are fish out of water. They're coming from the 25th century, and our 21st century is, to say the least, a little different than the world of that they're coming from. The time that they're coming from, because they're still coming from Earth time, but obviously into our present, and all the shenanigans and insanity and craziness and hopes and dreams and desires and problems that peak up on an everyday basis, while at the same time there's some serious there's some what's the old expression, something wicked this way comes, and it's coming for the Rockefellers. So
I love that you're full of so many old expressions today.
Yeah,
I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it.
And then Danny has a nice blurb right here. She's like, blending suburban life with cosmic size problems, and there you go.
My buddy James is saying Rockefellers is Johnny Quest meets Lost in Space, or for the older people, it's the Jetsons meet the Flintstones.
I love
Wait,
that.
Johnny Quest is old, man. So is Lost in Space.
See, that's the funny thing, right? All that old stuff that everybody's saying is still classic, and is still as timely and as great as ever.
No, you're right. I forgot there was a new Johnny Quest comic.
Yeah.
Is there a new Lost in Space? There was a Netflix show.
There was a Netflix show, and there was a movie before that. But yeah, I don't.
Yeah, with Matt LeBlanc.
William Hurt and Matt LeBlanc.
William Hurt, wasn't that good at all. But we've got there's so many people that just are thanking you so much for all the work you've done in the past, and just how big of a legend you are, and just how much your work means to them, man. I love seeing stuff like this. You getting praise for a lot of the work that you've put in to these companies. You've built the Green Lantern core with Geoff, like the whole mythos about the different colors, and oh man, yeah.
It's the scenario that that if you liked all that stuff that I've done in the past, you'll love this stuff, because it's we raised the bar for all of ourselves, and we wanted to just even kick as much ass as possible. So if you dug what we did before, I think you'll really enjoy all the books that Ghost Machine puts out, even more than the big 2 or whatever else anybody else had done over time. It's it's creators and talent who are from the writers to the letterers, the great Rob Lee, and you got Brad Anderson and John Kalas, and just all these people are just really putting their all into these books. So I don't want to. It sounds like a big sell, but it's really true. If you're not reading them, you're missing out on some really great comics. What comics is all about, and it's just they're right there on the shelves now. So I think people should at least give them a try and see if it's up their alleys, and see if they dig them.
There's different types of books too.
Right.
I think there's really something out there for everybody. That's what I like about Ghost Machine, and they were doing that from the very beginning.
Right from the beginning. Yeah.
This is from Jack. When beginning to write a new story in any genre, which do you concentrate on first? Characters, plot, setting, or theme?
Definitely characters. There's always a character that pops into my head on who and what they are and what they want, and then from there start to build around that.
Do you? I don't think I know. I've had the chance to ask you this. Whenever you're writing something, man, like, do you just close yourself out? You're like, I need to go to my empty space. Like I need to go downstairs and be alone. Do you listen to music? Like what is it?
I listen to I can't listen to music with words with somebody singing any lyrics. Mm-hmm. It's all classical, or a lot of times it's just movie soundtracks. I'll pick, like, I'll know what I'm writing that day, and I have a gazillion movie soundtracks, and I'll pick I'll grab a couple CDs. I like my actual CDs, because a lot of stuff, few of the things that I've downloaded end up disappearing. So I'm glad I've kept all my analog stuff.
Yeah.
But so I'll kind of, almost in a weird way, be like a DJ. I'll program my day of writing with specific soundtracks or classical music, and know that'll fit the mood and the tonal vibe that I'll be in on the story, and it'll kind of help in a weird way. You almost see it as a movie, or when you're watching it, and with the soundtrack behind it, so it kind of propels it.
You're pretty old school, classy guy. I can't imagine you. Do you get distracted? Like, I've interviewed writers that have had to put apps on their phone that block out internet for like 2 hours and things like that. No, I can't imagine you getting. You read a newspaper. There's no way you get easily distracted.
Yeah, no, I don't. Unless, my wife or somebody calls me and says, the bombs are falling. I'm not going to be getting too distracted.
Okay.
Real life does intrude. You do get. I've been trying to actually. I do like to try to figure out, let people know I have a certain periods not to call, and etc. Because I do like to work the same hours every day. Where you used to work. I used to work till 2 or 3 in the morning. When I was writing back in the day for DC and the stuff, and even when I was on staff and writing, I'd get home, family would go to bed, and then I'd stay up till 2 or 3 writing, then go to work, get up at 6:30, get the kid ready and off to school, and then boom, out the door with my wife, going to work. So yeah, it's nice to try to cut back those hours where you're not watching the sun come up while you're still working.
Man, you were young. You're trying to prove yourself to people. Look at you now. You got that big back. That's why you have so many books with your name on it. That's how you were able to do it. We still need Black Adam Dark Ages in the deluxe edition. DC, where are we at with that? Come on.
I don't know. I wish the movie had done better. I wish in the end they would actually have somehow found a way to do Dark Age.
Such a good story too.
I think that would have made a great movie for Dwayne. I think he would have kicked ass and had way more cool stuff to do, and it really humanized the character, and I think it would have been a blast for him. But they went in a whole different direction on that. But yeah, that would be nice to see in big. Doug's art on that is just beautiful. It's funny. I think there's an omnibus coming out, or a compendium that I read the other day from DC coming out, because almost all of my stuff is in some sort of collected edition, but one of them had never gone out, which was DC had done a long time ago, these Elseworlds, Dead Earth books, a series of books, and the one that I did was the Flash annual, and I had the great J.H. Williams, who was just kind of getting his
that's one of my favorite artists, man. And he's young then.
Yeah, he killed it. It was beautiful stuff. So I can't wait to see that. It's coming. It's going to be they're going to be a whole bunch of Dead Earth stuff, and from what I read, it's going to be included in that. So I'm hoping to see that and reproduce somewhere, which would be great.
You know, the one book that you did that for some reason they never, of course, collected editions was different then. It was the White Knight storyline, the Batman White Knight. It was part of the Batman and Robin, right? It was Batman and Robin.
They put it into year one, and I mean, I'm sorry, into Batman and Robin Omnibus behind you. That actually they included it in the beginning. It's in the openings. It's the opening.
The White Knight story.
Yeah, it's the opening story. That Batman and Robin has everything I did on Batman and Robin. So it has the.
Why do I own it? Huh. I mean, you know what, man? That's a different show. I'm sorry.
No,
it's like, and now you have me second guessing myself. Wait a second. Why do I own it? Okay, I'll look at it later. Doesn't matter. I'll email you.
It's in there. So it's we always wondered why they had it, because we had this whole White Knight thing first time, and then all of a sudden I saw the Sean Murphy stuff. I'm like, guys, I did a White Knight thing.
Yeah, it was actually the White Knight, as he was called.
Yeah. So anyway, whatever. You can't. You drive yourself crazy thinking about all these.
This is a really, really amazing and sweet message. I got to tell you this in person at a con in Minnesota a few years back, but thank you again to Peter for giving me the means to process my not dissimilar grief during Batman and Robin. Your work saves people.
Hey, I remember that. Yeah, I'm glad I was able to help, man. It's a lot of people. Those books helped. You know, I was really. It knocks you out as a creator sitting at a table and have somebody hit you with those emotions and thanking you for that and helping them get through some dark periods in their life. It's trust me, it doesn't go brushed off of us easy, or definitely over me. It means a lot. So
you're a very empathetic guy too. When I know from personal experience, when I lost my dad, you wrote a really sweet message, and it meant a lot to me.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. When you're tight with your folks, it's tough, man.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah,
and I think your writing, the way it does come across like that.
Yeah. No, I try really hard to make sure all these characters feel three-dimensional, or at least feel human. That, you know, you want to try to make sure, you know, the kids in Hornsby and Halo, you know, have these ups and downs, have these feelings of, like, you know, there's a great scene when Rose, like, has been, you know, sort of told who she is, and, you know, sees heaven and hell, and then, like, realizes just to the extent on who and what she is, and she just, like, loses it. You know, suddenly she thought she was just this 13-year-old girl who just wants to be a 13-year-old girl, and realizes that's never going to be possible anymore. And so what that, you know, how she just kind of explodes for this one moment. And it's always doing those kind of things where you just we want to show you want to make these characters human, because if, just like we did on Superman and stuff, it's if you can't, you know, empathize with them or relate to them in that way, then they're just two-dimensional cutouts going through action beats. And that's, you know, who wants to? I mean, I know I don't want to read that. It gets boring after. There's nothing like a great action scene, don't get me wrong, and I love writing them and coming up with original ones, but, you know, if I don't give a shit about who's going through it, it's just
that's the key, right?
So,
because if you don't care about the characters, then why should you care about where the story is going? Absolutely. So people again are thanking you for your stories, and I love your work, Tomasi. Green Lantern Corps was so great. People really love that book. What would you say? You've been to a lot of conventions, and what would you say is the number one book that a lot of people get signed? Like, what's the one book that, and it doesn't have to be an omnibus, it could be just a series.
I think they're almost tied. I think it's weird. I think it's all, you know, I think I'm hoping, obviously, Hornsby and Halo and Rockefellers, now that there's trades out, but I've been signing a bunch of those in the last few. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a kind of a tie right now between Super Sons and Batman and Robin and Superman. There's just a lot of those books at that time connected with a lot of people. They really dug the work that we were doing on it, and it meant a lot to them at that point. So and even now they're younger people, like even the Super Son stuff, which was great. I mean, it was, I was seeing so many young people with those first floppies and just really like loving the fact that there was something directed towards 10-year-olds or their age, but yet their father and mother who were with them said, yeah, I love this book too.
Definitely feels like a family book. Absolutely.
Yeah, and anybody could read it, and that's great. There should, if there's no books out there like that, man, we're in trouble, and you need these books, and you want them to just appeal to everybody, and you don't have to talk down to people, and you can read stuff now that, as you probably know, and you read stuff if you're 10 or 12 or 15, and then when you read it again at 30, it means something else. It's like watching a good Bugs Bunny, the Bugs Bunny cartoons, right? You'll laugh because of just the antics or the action, and then you realize there's all this other subtext and other stuff underneath it that when you're an adult, you're like, oh my gosh,
How did they get away with that? What's funny is I did that with the Tiny Toon cartoons with my kids. Those, I think, because they were releasing them on DVD or something, and even those, they were telling jokes that were way over your head if you're a kid.
Yeah, but there's layers of it. Yeah,
but definitely Looney Tunes, man. Like, you go back and watch that, it's like, how did you even get away with that stuff? Picked up a copy of The Bridge from Peter at a con in Denver years ago. He was great, and so was the book.
Oh, thank you, man. The Bridge was a passion project for me. Took me probably close to 10 years to write it, research it, write it. It's about the building of the Brooklyn Bridge. If anybody hasn't seen it, another sell. It's about these characters, these people, these real life people that you just have never heard of, who built the Brooklyn Bridge. This couple, and it's a phenomenal story, human story, American story, just about grit and tragedy and just willpower. I mean, it's almost like a Green Lantern story, man. These people, that Brooklyn Bridge is built from hand, stone cut from hand, wires wrapped by hand. I mean, it's an amazing book, amazing story that really nobody knows about. And
what made you do that?
I'm a big New York history nut. And love old history of New York and the way it came to be from the Dutch times, from the Indian time actually, to the present. And I lived in Washington Heights, which is Upper Manhattan, and lived literally right across the street from the George Washington Bridge. So I got fascinated by bridges, and when I stumbled on the story of the Brooklyn Bridge, I was like, wow! And I just always thought about it through all the years, and it would make a phenomenal movie. I just still can't.
I thought about. I wasn't gonna ask or anything. Like, is that one of your scripts that you wrote for a movie that didn't go anywhere? And you were like, I'm gonna make it into a damn comic book.
I did. It was. It was on one of the. It was on. I don't know if you've heard of it, The Blacklist. In Hollywood, it's not the bad Blacklist where you're.
I was gonna say the black. How did you get blacklisted already?
Yeah, no. The Blacklist is what's known in Hollywood as like the best unproduced screenplays of the year.
Oh, what?
So that was on it, and Imagine was interested in doing it many years ago. We were getting close to making it as a movie, and it ended up not happening. So I'm hoping somebody else finds it one day. People get a little scared of period pieces and things like that, but the funny thing is, those are the ones that stay and people watch over and over again. Yeah, they become timeless classics. Yeah.
I love movies like that. I love period pieces, and I love TV shows like that too.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
but I
great. People, if you haven't read it, and the art is great, very inviting and open, and it's a very emotional.
Who's the publisher story on that one?
That was Abrams Publishing. Came out as a hardcover, and it's now and it's also out as a trade too.
There was a question earlier, and I think it is from my buddy Alex. I'm getting the Ghost Machine books in deluxe edition. Those books are beautiful. Can't wait for Rook Exodus. I need to know. I forgot to ask Geoff Johns when he was here. You may know whose bright idea was it to say, okay, let's take those issues we have in trade paperback and put them in a big book. But let's make it bigger than the deluxe editions that DC and Marvel have and Image has. Let's make our own thing. Who came up with that? Brilliant, by the way.
I'm not sure who actually said it, but I'm glad they did, because
you can take credit. Jeff's not here.
All right, I came up with it.
Nah, my man.
But yeah, I mean, look, it's great to see that artwork up, up a couple sizes, and
yeah,
those books. I mean, what I've got, the Geiger and the Junkyard Joe. I can't wait to see Rook, and I can't wait to see Red Code and all of them.
I can't wait to see these, man.
Yeah, I can't wait to see those collected in those big editions. It's gonna be great. So it's we're just trying to give people the best quality and the best reproduction as possible, and everybody really is, putting in a lot of time. We've got this guy in production, Steve Blackwell, and he's like kicking ass. He's making sure the books look great also, and just we've got a hell of a team. Everybody's doing really just 110% to make sure we're all proud of the books our names are on.
Now, I was very blessed to get to announce some books from Ghost Machine as far as deluxe editions that are coming. Oh my gosh, they're coming right around the corner. Is there talk of doing more books in those deluxe editions? We don't have to go into specifics, of course, because I don't want you.
What do you mean, like the Ghost Machine books?
Yeah, is there talks of
all of them?
Oh, you guys have decided all of them?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone's going to get in a deluxe edition at some point.
Now, I know Peter Tomasi loves mapping books. So, are you not?
I don't miss those days.
Are you gonna wait until you've got like 12 issues, or
yeah?
Okay.
Well, I think like Hornsby and Halo wraps up the initial story arc as issue 13. So
okay,
if we do a deluxe edition, when we do a deluxe edition, it'll be 13 issues. Rockefellers, it may be a little fluid. It may be 12 or 13. So it'll be so there'll be a nice big chunk of stuff, and a lot of nice stuff behind the scenes works too.
Yeah, those books are wonderful. I love them. I was so surprised at the price point and when it came in, and then I was like, oh, I gotta do a video immedially. So I read it really quick and I threw the video out there, and people were like, whoa, we didn't know it was gonna be that big. Like,
I love books. I love books like that. I love books that have the behind the scenes stuff too, because when I was growing up, you never saw a comic script or thumbnails or roughs and that stuff. Right. So I always made it a point too, when I was talking to people at DC when they were doing stuff, to make sure that they always included some scripts, because people would always be like, asking about scripts, and I'd be like, well, let's pop them into the books, and let's show people not just the roughs or some of the black and white cover stuff or sketches. Let's show them the whole process of it. So it's always cool.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to show that stuff for people that want to get into the comic book industry. I always tell people that watch my videos, I was like, if you ever want to become a comic book writer, do not look at the script written by Alan Moore, or it will turn you away from writing comics.
Yeah, that's definitely not the way to do it. And not that
it's bad. It's just holy crap.
Yeah. Look, I mean, the thing about comic book scripting is that everybody, it's not like movies or TV where there's a very specific template that you have to stick to. Every comic guy does their own thing. Everybody writes differently. So Neil Gaiman to Alan Moore to me to Geoff, Marvel guys, some of the guys who write plot only. It's just interesting to see. But you can check out everybody's stuff, and then what you do is you try to find what fits your style and how do you want to tell your story.
These two questions are very similar, so this is from Matt and Richard. So what would you say is the most proudest work that you've got under your belt? What are you most proud of? It's a tough
actually,
question for someone like you because
it's actually really not. It's really cliche, but everything. I mean, every time when I was on every issue that you ever read of mine, the Joe DiMaggio post, it's always up there. I was always trying to make sure. And look, did I succeed every time? No, I'm sure I did not. I know I did not. But I went into every issue thinking it was my last, and wanted it to be my best. So, people work hard. I know what it's like to work hard for. I mean, I've had a lot of crappy jobs in my early life. So I know what it's like to earn a buck, and not a big buck. So, people are spending a lot of money for these things. So, if they're going to read a book of mine, they're going to know that, I'm putting everything into it. And, it's, yeah, I mean, from the Batman and Robin, the Superman, hell, to my first showcase stories with Martian Manhunter, to the Flash annual, I wrote issues of Steel back in the day.
Yeah, that's another book we need collected.
Yeah, it was only 3 or 4. It wasn't a lot. But it's yeah, every book that I write, I really pour everything into it. So I'm proud of all of them. I really am. I look at all the books that I've written, and I know that, they were all at 120%. So, I mean, did I put 10 years of research into The Bridge? Sure. I mean, I love that book. But the amount of time it's my other child, Batman and Robin, or Hornsby and Halo, or the Rockefellers. Those are all part of they're part of the family. They're all these kids that I love for all different reasons, but the exact same way. So it's yeah, yeah, I honestly can say that every book is all right up there as being my favorite, and definitely all, a lot of passion into each one.
Dude, that's a good answer. That's up there with Chris Claremont's. Whenever I ask him what's your favorite story you ever written, he's like, "Oh, the one I haven't written yet."
That's true. That's I never heard that, but there's a truth to that, because you sit down and you want to, like, I'm working on something now that's in the Ghost Machine universe. I can't say yet, but and I've gone through a couple drafts, and I'm really like, I want it to really be great, and it's taking a little longer than I thought, but it's I'm pouring everything into it, trying to make sure it's great. So
currently you are writing Hornsby and Halo and Rockefellers. Both are ongoing series with no ending yet. Like, I'm sure you guys have talked maybe about how to end it, but that's not for a long time.
Right.
What else are you currently working on, or is that what's keeping you busy and in your secret?
That's it right now. And then the Ghost Machine stuff is, there's semblances of it, because we're all sort of, we're all owning it. We're all, we all bounce stuff off of each other. We talk about marketing. We talk about this or that or things like that. So there's parts of the day here and there during the course of a week we may be talking about something other than the writing aspect of, or the art of Ghost Machine stuff. It could be something else, be it TV or film or something that, we're all in the mix on. So, but yeah, no, it's right now it's good. And, and then as a writer, the advice I always give, especially younger people trying to write, is you've got to read, and, reading takes some time, but, if you don't feed your mind with other stories other than comics, and I love comics, but you need to read fiction, nonfiction, other things other than comics to become a better writer, biographies and history and, great fiction writers, and read their stories and see how they tell a story, and see how they use different voices, and how did they approach, telling the story they wanted to tell. So, and then of course, read comics when you want to read comics, but just don't put yourself in a box and only read comics. If you're a writer, you've got to broach out, just like an artist, and when you see guys that over the years that, come to the table with, you can tell all they've looked at is comics. They didn't try to draw from real life. And it's just like, you can just see, there's a Jim Lee, and there's a, whatever, a Buscema or this or that. It's, You know, it's like, dude, go out to the park, go draw people sitting on a bench, walking, talking. Go draw your family sitting at a dinner. So sit in a corner somewhere, try to disappear and draw other things, you know. So it's really important to just plug into life and not just the comics, because you don't want to fall into that cycle, that loop.
Dude, I remember you telling me that. I think it's and I hope people listening later, if you're not here now watching live and you want to be writing comics, I think that is one of the most important free lessons you just got about reading everything. Don't just read comics. It makes perfect sense. How are you going to expand your brand? Like I once saw, I think it might have been Gail Simone that talked about writing. She always heard writing what you know coming up as a comic book writer.
Mhm.
And she said, I wish someone had told me, write what you don't know so you can research it and find out more about what you don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my favorite part of writing, is researching on the bridge, or even like stuff on Hornsby and Halo and the Rockefellers, trying to research witness protection, and then overlay it into what the future, how they could look at it. You know, reading more about heaven and hell's, you know, mythology, pulling out the books that I've got on that. And that's the best stuff. I mean, if you've got any sort of mojo as a writer, at a certain point, if you're not able to take a story, if you can't pick up your daily paper, be it the whatever, not being a New Yorker, New Daily News, New York Post, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, blah, 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 or magazines, etc., you know, weekly magazines. If you can't pull a story out of there, you know, you really maybe shouldn't, as that old expression goes, they don't have them anymore, but here's a quarter, call your mother, tell her there's serious doubts about you becoming a writer, you know.
What do you mean they don't have, we still got quarters, right?
Oh no, the payphones.
No, I was like, wait, did we get rid of quarters?
Almost. Right. They're on the next list.
Oh, man. Okay, you are a busy guy, so I don't want to take any more of your time. I'm gonna pick one more question. I think it's a really good question to end it on.
Yeah.
But before I do, I made Danny a promise I would talk about what's coming out. So again, this week from Peter Tomasi, Hornsby and Halo, the trade paperback, collecting the first 6 issues, not first 5, and then the Rockefellers coming out next week, and this collecting the first 6 issues of this. So if you're at the comic book store and you're picking these up, this one and this one. Rockefellers issue 8 comes out on September 3rd. So also tomorrow, maybe they'll have issue 7 there. And then Hornsby and Halo issue 9 is coming out. I think it actually came out last week. So if you're a single issue week, Wednesday Warrior. Now, this is a really
Warriors.
yeah, I mean, we wouldn't have these without you all. So thank you all. Mr. Tomasi, would you one day like to see your works at Ghost Machine, possibly on the small screen or big screen in the future?
Nah.
What?
No, I'm kidding. Obviously, no. I mean, you know, who I don't think there's going to be any knucklehead of a writer or creator that's going to say, nah.
Alan Moore.
He's a knucklehead.
I don't think Alan Moore is going to be like.
You know, it's. I mean, look. No matter how you cut it, even people who went to see Watchmen or whatever, what happens is on that is it feeds then the interest to go back to read the original property. So his royalty stream for his books grew because maybe they didn't start with the book, but then a lot of people probably went to the book to see, you know, even if it was a fraction of the people who enjoyed Watchmen, V for Vendetta, yada, 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 yada. You know, there was some that went back to actually discover his books for the first time. So anything to help get eyeballs on our original stuff, on the actual wonderful world of comics, is a good thing. So if somebody who sees a Netflix show or Amazon or Apple or yada, 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 or a movie, etc., even if 1 out of 100 says, "Oh, let me go see where that came from," that's a win. You know, anybody that we can bring into the comic book tent is a win for comic books. And that's how I look at it, because we want this great American excuse me, we want this great art form to continue for till we're long gone. And it's you got to have people who if they digest it through movies and TV, great. Any way they can digest it. My son wasn't and isn't a big comic book fan, but he loved the animated shows. He loved Justice League and the Batman adventures and this and that would then pop him towards the comics. So you just never know what's going to get people to get under our tent. And it's always a ratio. It's not like the whole mass is going to move over, but anybody that we can get to discover us and enjoy it for the real beauty of comics, because there's nothing like it when you get it and you get the language of comics and the culture of comics. There's nothing like it. It's amazing. And it's, as somebody said many times, I mean, it is an American mythology, these superheroes and these characters and the stuff we're doing at Ghost Machine. These are all, we're all creating universes and earths of our, out of nothing. And that's really cool to be somebody who's, lucky enough to do this for a living and be able to bring something from nothing in a world of all the insanity and turbulence that we have, to give people some 15 minutes, 20 minutes of joy reading a floppy or 2 hours reading a trade. It's, can't beat it. Can't beat it.
Well, thank you so much for that. And thank you all so much for tuning in. And yeah, I look forward to reading Rockefellers as soon as we get off this stream. And I look forward to.
You can wait a while. You can wait a few minutes.
Well, we'll see. I'll maybe get some dinner first. But no, thank you, man. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, because you're not only a fan, you're also a collector of these things. You love collected editions. And I kept looking at your posters back there, and I'm like, wonder if he collects physical media of movies like the Kurosawa.
Oh, trust me, the amount of Blu-rays and 4Ks. And
okay, just
DVDs
making sure.
Yeah,
man. Oh, look at that. Oh. Yeah. Okay, so you're aware that the Kurosawa films are being transferred into 4K. So I assume you probably knew all these things.
Yeah. No, I have a lot of old movie posters too that are. I kind of treat my office as a movie theater. I switch them out every so often and put new ones up.
No, nice.
So I've got them all. When I was a kid growing up, there was a movie theater nearby, and I was always living in there, so they were really great. I'd whenever there was stuff that I wanted, they'd just hold the posters for me, and I'd take them home. So
you still got those posters from when you were a kid?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Man, you had some great parents.
They were awesome. They were awesome. I can't wait to put up. I guess my next one gets rotated. I think Excalibur goes up next.
Oh, that's such a good movie. Yeah, I saw some back there, and I was like, oh, okay, man, that's cool. Okay, thank you again so much for your time, Peter. You are always welcome back, especially maybe when those deluxe editions come out.
Yeah. And look, hey, I mean, I want everybody to love the books. I really think you will. Really, a lot of, like I've said before, a lot of passion and craft has gone into them, and your show is awesome. I watch it all the time.
Oh, dude, thank you. You're so kind.
It's a great show, and it's really cool. I love when you compare the books and all that kind of stuff too. It always helps me make some decisions. Do I want to go get this again? Do I not want to go get this again? Because like we joked about at the beginning, I have all the Marvel Masterworks, and I was kind of, bumming out that they're stopping it or putting it on hiatus for a while.
Yeah.
But it's the book. These are great. I mean, all the stuff that's behind you. Again, that's how we keep people reading these books, because they don't stay around long as floppies, and now that the companies have understood that people can get them and digest them in this form, they can be out all the time and forever, and so it's cool. And you want your stuff no matter what. It's never about the money. Some people, sure, but I mean, we write we draw, we make these things because we want people to read them. We don't want to just have nobody look at them. And that's what's great about comics is, at least in conventions, you get an immediate response to your work. So happy to be a part of the business for so long. So
you've been a huge part of the business, and I've gotten many people hooked on comics. So you're still doing it with new characters and new creations. So, man, a big thank you to you, man. Seriously.
No,
and
thank you.
it's always a pleasure talking to you, because it feels like I'm talking to a buddy, and just chilling out. Just happen to be my buddy writes amazing comic books. So everybody, thank you so much. Go and check out Rockefellers and Hornsby and Halo. It's coming out this month. And also a bunch of DC Omnis with Peter Tomasi's name on it too. He's got plenty of those. Yeah. We are out of here for now. Have a great day, everyone.
Take care, everybody.
And